Good morning, students. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Then today we are going to start with the introduction of civics, lesson number 5, that is working of institutions. So in this lesson, first of all, I hope you all know that why do we need political institution? Yes, we need political institutions to carry on the work of the government in the smooth and peaceful way. And what is the government? I think you are well aware about it that government is the form of the organization of the state. Government is a form of organization of the state, and the state can be defined as a political organization of people in a definite territory. And the four essential pillars, or we can say elements, on which the state stands. What are those four important pillars? They are population, territory, government, and sovereignty. That is, nobody, no external power is there to rule now. Sovereignty means freedom. Now, the land or the territory on which the people live is fixed. Is almost the what is the whatever the land is there for the particular state, it is fixed. And though there is always the possibility of adding more land by wars and all, and the size of the population is also not fixed. It can get reduced or increased, but any state definitely needs a government, and that is why by any state there will be, and if there will be no government, proper government will not be there, then there will be anarchy, means the ruler will uh, frame the rules and regulations according to his own wishes for his own benefit. And the most important thing is that the state should have sovereignty. That means it guarantees the people freedom from external control and independence. That is called sovereignty. Clear? So this is the intro of the first, means what is the government. Now in the lesson, inside the lesson, we are going to read about the government order. That means what is a government order? It is also called as office memorandum, and uh, it is an order issued by the government to exchange information relating to day-to-day function within its institution. And then next we will read about this office memorandum, which was given this order such order by in 1990, and it was regarding the major policy decision, that is 27% reservation of SEBC in all civil posts, means backward classes and all. So we will go through this lesson, and in this topic we will read more in detail. Next, the decision makers. Next, in this lesson, we are going to read about the decision makers. Now, who all are the decision makers? The decision makers are the president, the prime minister, and the parliament. And further, we will read about the birth of office memorandum also. Here, we are going to read about how the birth of office memorandum was there. That is, Second Backward Classes Commission was set up in 1979, and it was headed by B.P. Mandal. Now, B.P. Mandal, we will read in detail about this. And full form of B.P. Mandal is Bindeshwari Prasad Mandal. And then further, we will read about the aftermath of decision. What all things happened, means the conclusion which was the aftermath of this decision which was taken, of the office memorandum by the government. Then further in this lesson, we are going to read about the political institution, the need of the political institution. That is, it ensures the security to the citizen. It provides facility like education, welfare, health, and all, and administration also, and it also resolves the conflicts. Then further in this lesson, we will read about more. That is parliament. And what is parliament? The supreme legislative body. And in this, why do we need a parliament? We will learn this also. And houses of parliament, two different houses of parliament we'll read about, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Further, we will read about and understand about political executive. Political executive means president and prime minister plus council of ministers. Yes, yeah. In political executive, we will read about the president, prime minister, and council of ministers. Then power of parliament also we will understand what are the powers given to the parliament. That ordinary bill has to be passed by both the houses of the parliament, that is in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Then joint session can be called, and then money bill can be passed only in Lok Sabha, and all these details we will read about the powers of the parliament. Then powers and function of the president also we are going to read, and in this executive, legislative, financial, judicial, emergency, all these powers which are given to the president, we will read about it. And the powers and functions of the prime minister also, that he is the leader of the ruling party, head of the government, and all. Then council of minister also we will read in detail about the cabinet minister, ministers of state with independent charge, and minister of state. That means three types of council of ministers are there. And then permanent executive is also there. Here we will read about presidential powers and all. Then judiciary, we will read here. Judiciary means independent. Judiciary is an independent institution, and it settles dispute between citizen of the country, citizens and government. Two or more state government is there. If any conflict arises between two or more state government, then also it resolves the conflict. And then government and union, at union and state level, if any conflict is there, that also, that is why it is called as independent institution, and it can take decisions on its own. Then court of India, supreme court, we will further read in the last. We will read about different courts of India, that is supreme court, high court, and district court. And about all these powers and function of judiciary we will read in detail. So now we are going to start with the beginning, that is working of the institution. Yeah. Office memorandum. Now, how is the major policy decision taken? Now, the government order on August 13th, 1990, the government of India issued an order. It was called Office Memorandum. That means an office memorandum. What is office memorandum? It explains the policy or decision of the government issued by the appropriate authority. Appropriate authority is the government of India. So the office order was issued on August 13, 1990, and it was called as Office Memorandum. Like all government orders, it had number and is known by that. Means all office or whatever orders are passed by the government or in the government offices and all those orders have some numbers. The same way, this office memorandum also has the number OM number 3612, then 31 oblique 3190 dash EST, and this was the number. And the date was there, on which date it was issued. It was issued on 30th of August 1990. The Joint Secretary and officer in the Department of Personnel and Training in the Ministry of Personnel Public Grievances, means if any problem is there to the public, they can ask for that, for the resolve of that. So public grievances and pension signed the order. It was quite short. Now this is, you can underline also. So when was office memorandum issued? On August 13, 1990, the Government of India issued the office memorandum. And the Joint Secretary and Office in Department of Personnel and Training in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pension, he signed this order. And he was quite, means it was quite short. This order was quite short, barely one page office order was there. It looked like an ordinary circular or notice that you may have seen in the school. Means ordinary notice and circular is passed in the school and any office. The same way it was also this order was also of one page only. It was very short. The government issues hundred of orders every day on different matters, but this one was very important and became the source of controversy for several years. So now this uh, order was very short and it was of just one page, but it was very important source for the controversy, and it was there for the controversy for several years. Now let us see how the decision was taken and what had happened there later. Now this is the picture of that office letter which was issued. Now, this order announced a major policy decision. What was this order about? About the major policy decision. It said that 27% of vacancies in civil posts and services under Government of India are reserved for socially and educationally backward classes, that is SEBC, socially and educationally backward classes. So this order was about what? That 27% of vacancies in civil posts and services under the Government of India should be reserved for socially and educationally backward classes. Now, SEBC is another name for all those people who belong to castes that are considered backward caste people are they by the government. They are given this category by the government only, and the benefit of job reservation was till then available only to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Now till then only the benefit for the reservation of jobs was given to SCs and STs only. Now it was in this policy it was considered that socially and educationally backward classes should also be given the reservation in the government jobs. Then now a third category called SEBC was introduced. Now two categories was scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and now the third category was SEBC. Only persons who belong to backward classes were eligible for this quota of 27% jobs. Means those the third category, in this category, those people who belong to backward classes, they only were given this reservation in government jobs. Other could not compete for these jobs, these government jobs. Other people could not compete. Now the decision makers who decide who decided to issue this memorandum. Now who all are the decision makers who decided to issue this policy, this memorandum for the third category, that is SEBC. Now, clearly, such a big decision could not have been taken by the person who signed that document. Now, who was the signing authority? Who was the signing authority? The signing authority was the Joint Secretary and the officer in the Department of Personnel and Training in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensioners. But this was not made, this decision was not taken by this one person only, but the officer was merely implementing the instruction given by the ministers. The officer who has given this decision was only implementing, was only forcing the instructions, means in practical form the instruction was followed by him, and the instructions were given by Ministry of Personal, Public Grievances and Pensions, of which the department was a part. Now we can guess that such a major decision would have involved other major functionaries in our country. That means it was not only the particular one member involved to pass such a big decision for the country in the state, but it was other members also important members also who were involved, who were used called as decision makers, who were involved to ask this to pass this office order. Now you have already read in the previous class about some of them. Let's go over some of the main points that you covered then. Now first you have read about the president. President is the who is the president? President is the head of the state and is the highest formal authority in the state. Now you can underline this. Who is the president? President is the highest formal authority. Underline. Now, then second, who was the decision maker in the second category? Prime Minister, who is the head of the government and actually exercises all the government powers. Now he president is only the highest formal authority, only formality for president is given the pass. But actually the prime minister exercises all the government powers and he takes most of the decisions of the cabinet meetings. So who is important here to take the important decisions and not prime minister. Then third is the category who are involved in the decision maker is parliament. That is parliament consists of the president and the two houses. And which are those two houses? Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The prime minister must have the support of the majority of Lok Sabha members, so we all were so were all these people involved in this decision regarding the office memorandum. So all these people were involved in the passing of this memorandum for SEBC, that is socially and educationally backward classes. Now, this office memorandum was culmination of long chain of events. Means after this office memorandum, one and after another, one after another, many other decisions were taken. That is, this office memorandum was the culmination of long change chain of events. One after other, many events took place as soon as this office memorandum was passed. Now, the government of India had appointed the second backward class commission in 1979. You can underline this. When was the second backward class commission appointed by the government of India? It was appointed in 1979 and it was headed by BP Mandal. It was headed by BP Mandal. BP Mandal full form Bindeshwari Prasad Mandal. Bindeshwari Bindeshwari Prasad Mandal. And he was the Indian politician who chaired Mandal Commission, which became the major political theme after 1990. So the government of India had appointed the second backward class commission in 1979, and it was headed by BP Mandal. Hence, it was popularly called the Mandal Commission. And just because it was headed by BP Mandal, it was called as Mandal Commission. Clear this much? Now, it was asked to determine the criteria to identify the socially and educationally backward classes in India and recommend steps to be taken for their advancement. To uplift the socially and educationally backward classes, proper steps to be taken. Uh, it had means major decisions were taken for their upliftment also in this Mandal Commission. The commission gave its report in 1980 and made many recommendations. Many recommendations were made by this report in 1980. One of these was that 27% of government jobs be reserved for the socially and educationally backward classes. So, one recommendation made by the commission in the report in 1980 was that 27% of government jobs should be reserved for these, the third category, that is socially and educationally backward classes. Now the report and recommendations were discussed in the parliament. This report and the whole report about office memorandum means what all decisions to be taken to uplift the third category, and the recommendations, what all recommendations were there, they were all discussed in the parliament. For several years many parliamentaries and parties kept demanding the implementation of the commission's recommendations. Whatever recommendations made were made to uplift this third category, all were considered in the parliament by different parliamentaries. Then came then came the Lok Sabha election in 1989. In its election manifesto, the Janata Dal promised that if voted to power, it would implement the Mandal Commission report. Till now, it was not implemented, but when in election of Lok Sabha, the Janata Dal promised that if Janata Dal representatives will come and form the government, they will get the power to form the government, then surely they will implement the Mandal Commission report. So, this was the promise made by Janata Dal. The Janata Dal did form the government after this election, and after the election of Lok Sabha, that is of in 1989, Janata Dal formed the government, and its leader was VP Singh. Who was the leader of Janata Dal at that time? VP Singh, who became the Prime Minister. And what is the full form of VP Singh? Vishwanath Pratap Singh. So he became the Prime Minister there. So clear this much? First, we have to keep in mind that office memorandum was passed on August 30, 1990. Who had passed this? The Joint Secretary and the officer in Department Personnel and Training. He alone it did not pass, but there was other also decision makers who has given the decision, and this Joint Secretary was asked to implement this, and they were the President, Prime Minister, and Parliament. And Parliament means two houses were there, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So with the uh, joint uh, recognition of all these, this memorandum was passed, and according to this memorandum, recommendations, many recommendations, one by one, many events were passed after this office memorandum, and Mandal Commission was asked to give the report about that. And in that report it was said that recommendation was made for 27% of government job reservation for the socially and educationally backward classes, and this was still now not implemented. And the meanwhile, Lok Sabha election appeared in 1989, where Janata Dal promised that if this Janata Dal will come into power and form the government, then they will surely implement the Mandal Commission report. And finally, as a result of this Lok Sabha election, Janata Dal formed the government, and leader VP Singh became the Prime Minister. Clear this much? Now, several developments took place after that. As soon as Janata Dal came into power, formed the government, and VP Singh became the Prime Minister, many developments took place. Now, first is the President of India, in his address to the Parliament, announced the intention of the government to implement the recommendations of the Mandal Commission. So, now, first and foremost, and as promised by Janata Dal, Mandal Commission, recommendation of Mandal Commission was announced by the President. Then, second, on 6th August 1990, the Union Cabinet the Union Cabinet took a formal decision to implement the recommendation. Now, formal decision was taken by the Union government to implement the recommendations made by Mandal Commission for the upliftment of the third category, that is socially and educationally backward classes. Next day, Prime Minister VP Singh informed the Parliament about this decision through the statement in both the houses of the Parliament. So Now, the decision was given by the VP Singh, that is the Prime Minister, also uh, about this recommendation for the 27% of reservation. Then the decision of cabinet was sent to the Department of Personnel and Training. The senior officers of the department drafted the order. Now, who drafted the order? First of all had agreed to pass the recommendation, and then after that, uh, it was uh, it was said that yes, the senior officer of the department defined the order. Okay, good. If you have understood this lesson till here, office memorandum, good. Now, next paragraph, we will continue from tomorrow. Good day. Thank you. Bye.